Hi, everybody. I'm Gene Valicenti. Welcome to Coffee Break on the NBC 10 WJIR YouTube channel. I call it Coffee Milk, but then again, it's only 10:06 in the morning, so it is a coffee break. I've been up since 4:30, and this is a regular segment we do. Allison usually does it with me, but I guess Allison's not here today, so I'll do it. And this is kind of an extension of my radio show for me. Today on the radio, we're talking about all kinds of things, including the Pentagon News Conference, where Pete Hegseth went out and railed against the press for suggesting that the attack on Iran was anything but successful. And then he had a general show video and prove it. He said the nuke plants have been destroyed. It'll be years to be rebuilt. So that's a little bit of strategy from the Trump administration. Also down in New York, Zoran Mamdani, the Democrat who prevailed in the Democrat primary for mayor, is making a lot of news with his defund the police, free bus service, freeze the rent, big socialist agenda, and he looks pretty good going into the general election, although Eric Adams may look even better now that he has the support of the New York Post. He's probably going to be on the front page every day. He's going to run against him in the general election, along with maybe Andrew Cuomo and certainly Curtis Sliwa for the Republican side. So we'll see. So those are two of the big stories we were talking about. Now, the heat wave, I guess, is over. So let's bring in NBC 10's Jason Doris. Give us an update on the weather before we get to the rest of the list of topics here this morning. Jason, is the heat wave over today?
Yes, we can finally say it is all over, Gene. Good morning to you and good morning to everyone that is currently watching. Not necessarily always rooting for some rain, but we finally got some, and a lot of us are probably excited because this is a nice, cool, and refreshing rain coming down across the area. Some of the steadiest pockets right now across Providence County. We do have some drier pockets across southeast Massachusetts, but eventually that steadier shower should be drifting a little bit further east. There's a nice little break across a good portion of western Mass and upstate New York, but what's up towards Syracuse and Binghamton, that will slowly be making its way towards us. And by later on this evening, the southern tip of that might glance as bringing another isolated shower to the region, but really shouldn't be anything too crazy that we can't handle. Temperatures right now, the 24-hour temperature change, this is the big story right here, about 20 to almost 30 degrees cooler compared to yesterday at this time. And as we all know, yesterday at this time, we were already in the 90s. Currently, right now, we're just sitting in the low 60s, widespread across the region, a little bit milder across parts of Bristol County and also Plymouth County, Massachusetts, with those temperatures around 67, 68 degrees. Dew points also much lower, which is a nice welcome sight in the 50s. This is usually a dry air mass, but relatively speaking, we've had the dew points in the 70s. So it feels much, much more refreshing and almost crisp and fall-like out there when that breeze is blowing too out of the northeast. Over the next 12 hours, we should see some dry weather, but still lots of clouds in place. Temperatures topping out in the low 70s. And then here's that maybe an isolated shower towards the evening time frame. And then rolling into tomorrow, still some clouds lingering, but we will start to see a little bit more sunshine, and it really should end up being a beautiful afternoon across southern New England. But of course, Gene, as the weekend rolls in, also the chances for rain roll back into the forecast. So coming up at noontime, I'll kind of explain that a little bit more and let you know when we can probably see a lot of those raindrops coming down on Saturday.
So what do we end up, Jason, what do we end up with? 4 days of a heat wave?
Yep, that's right. We had 4 days of 90 plus degrees, and obviously yesterday and then also on Tuesday, our two hottest days, both of which were top 5 warmest days that we've ever seen in the month of June, Gene.
All right. Okay. I got it. We'll check in with you a little later on tonight's newscast. Thanks, Jason.
Yep.
I have a list of topics here. You know, what else we were talking about on the radio today was Trump's use of the F word and whether or not that's appropriate, or whether or not the broadcasters ought to just air it as he said it so that we don't get in between the newsmaker and you, the consumer of news. That was a good debate. The Providence City Council is going to spend about $17,000 to send out flyers to every address in Providence. And this is to warn migrants, legal and illegal, of their rights in case ICE comes knocking on the door. It's controversial, but so is the Providence City Council. This is what they've decided to spend $17,000 on. And it comes with a pull-off tab that you can keep handy. And it tells you how to answer questions. And it says, know your rights. The mailers are going out to 62,000 households in Providence. So Providence has got about 190,000 people living in it. So that's a lot of mailers, but this is at the direction of the Providence City Council President, Rachel Miller. All right. Also making the news today, cryptocurrency is going to be available as a as a way to check your credit when you go to buy a home.
About 6 months ago, we did not have any exposure to emerging.
This is just some video we're showing to illustrate this story. Cryptocurrency is going to be like cash in the bank. If you have Bitcoin, you're going to be able to show how much Bitcoin you have when you apply for a mortgage and maybe buy a house. That's a change that the federal government, the Federal Housing Finance Authority, is issuing so that Fannie Mae can consider how much Bitcoin you have when you go to apply for your mortgage. All right, President Trump is back from The Hague, the Netherlands, where he was pressing the rest of the NATO countries to pony up 5% of their GDP instead of 2%. They all went along with it, with the exception of Spain. And now he says Spain is going to be punished. So that's just some of the things that we're following in Washington. But as I said, the big story out of Washington was that Pentagon news conference today, where Pete Hegseth went out and excoriated the news media who suggested that the strikes against the Iranian nuclear facilities were anything other than successful. And then he rolled the general out to show some video and said, here, we told you so, and that CNN and others who were prematurely reporting that the damage may not have been that severe based on a leak, a Pentagon leak, were absolutely wrong. And here's the video proof. So that thing's going to reverberate for the rest of the day. I've punched this up on my Facebook page so that I could hear from you as you're watching it. Also, if you're watching it on WJAR YouTube page, you can send us some comments, and we'll try to share them with you. Dan Paquette is my producer for this. He's also online. Dan, are you there? You can talk back to us now, right?
Yes, I'm here. Gene, good morning.
This is like the old times. We used to do this after the radio when you were with me on the radio.
That is right.
What did we call that when we did that? Was it?
Well, we remember we were streaming on Periscope at the time.
Periscope, which was new in the day, but who even uses Periscope now? Nobody uses Periscope. We thought it was the greatest thing. You could do a live broadcast on Periscope. Now you could do it on YouTube and everywhere else. And
that's right.
And Facebook as well. So when comments come in, Dan, you can post them?
I can, yes.
All right. Well, we'll see.
You do have one so far.
What do they say?
Kaylin is watching and says chilly today.
Kaylin, why are you watching at 10:13 in the morning? Are you on vacation? Are you home? What's going on with Kaylin that you're watching this? Now, Dan, we put this on. Not everybody watches it while we're doing it live, but it'll be on there for the rest of the day.
Yes, it lives for the rest of the day, so you can go back and watch it on demand anytime.
Okay. What are some of the other stories we're covering today for Coffee Milk?
Well, Gene, this is interesting anniversary that's happening today. I'm going to share it on the screen so you can see.
Yeah.
That we're looking at the anniversary of the word masshole making it to the Oxford Dictionary.
Masshole made it into the Oxford Dictionary.
And we have a package, a flashback, if you will, from Adam Bagney, who used to work at Channel 10, reporting on when it became a word that was recognized in the Oxford Dictionary.
Go ahead and roll that. And believe it or not, I happen to have my copy of the Oxford Dictionary handy. Although, since it's updated periodically, I'll have to go out and get a new one. Go ahead and roll that package from Adam. Let's listen to this.
You're probably a mass, or at least now it's official.
It's hilarious.
Oxford University Press announcing yesterday that mass will be added to their English dictionary, bringing delight to mass throughout the state.
And that's what we were called to begin with by people from New Hampshire and Vermont. So about time.
I think it's necessary because it's been used quite frequently.
The word will be defined as a, quote, term of contempt for a native or inhabitant of the state of Massachusetts.
But the word also serves as a source of pride. A local man even owns the copyright, which makes sense because only a mass would trademark the name mass.
So we wanted to track down an actual mass for this story, which wasn't very hard.
Whoa, I got my seatbelt. Don't show my balls.
Put your don't be a mass.
Read it. Get out of here.
In Boston, I'm Adam Bagney, NBC 10 News.
So the word makes it into the vernacular, so to speak. All right, Dan, what else are we covering today? The governor's going to hold a news conference to sign the assault weapons bill, correct?
That's right. 9:30 this morning. So about 45 minutes ago, he was gathered with state leaders who he, interestingly enough, had a bit of a disagreement with yesterday.
Yep.
Speaker Joe Sicarci and the Senate president were there. as you've been reporting and talking about, the governor is just going to let the budget become law. He's not going to sign it. So they were all there today, though, because one thing they did agree on was signing the assault weapons ban.
Right. Now, I had him on the radio today. He doesn't apologize for that. And he knows that maybe next year they're going to come back and go for full possession and make you register it. Right now, the assault weapons ban just bans the sale and manufacture of those kinds of weapons that are on the list in Rhode Island. So I had the governor on today talking about that, also talking about the announcement that he's not going to sign the budget. He's trying to brand this as Shekarchi's budget. I didn't ask for this much money. I never asked for the 2% raise in the gas tax to give to RIPTA. I didn't ask for this, and I didn't ask for that. So if you want to hear the governor responding very latest on why he's not going to sign the budget, by the way, that doesn't mean anything. That just means the budget becomes law without his signature. He's not going to veto it. He said it doesn't rise to that occasion. There are some things in the budget he likes, a lot he doesn't, but it doesn't rise to the need of a veto. That was his answer. I asked twice because he's got a lot of critics who are unhappy with him. They think he ought to veto the budget, take a stand against Shekarchi and the tax hikes. Incidentally, Speaker Shekarchi says, I've spent more than the governor's asking. The budget is bigger than he wanted, but only because he threw in McKee put in a budget that was light and made me do the heavy lifting. So I had to get the cities and towns more money for education, and I had to fix RIPTA, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. And if McKee thinks he was giving me something that would set me up, so be it. But the speaker said I have to be the responsible person in the room. And yes, the budget is bigger than the governor asked for. The governor again repeated, listen, we could have done all of this without broad-based tax hikes, without asking for more money for your gas and your real estate conveyance and all of this. So this nicely sets up what could be a primary between Governor McKee and House Speaker Shekarchi. And that's the political end of all this. And that's why I seen the governor hold a news conference yesterday saying, I'm not going to sign the budget. All right, Dan, what else we got on the agenda today? What else are we covering here today when we go out?
Next topic we have for you, Gene, is people are going back old school. We're talking about dating and how people are meeting these days. And now I've heard you tell the story before, but for everybody watching Coffee Break, how did you and Diane meet?
Took her to the senior prom, 1978. She was
and
a
you've
junior.
Been together ever since.
Dan, like television stations, when I find one I like, I stay. I don't like to change things. Took Diane to the senior prom in 78. It was my prom, and then I took her to her prom next year, and that was it. When you find something you like, stick with it. So I don't really know much about speed dating or anything else, but we're running a story on this.
Yes, we did a two-part story yesterday about how people are now going back to meeting in person because, the pandemic changed things a little bit.
Yeah.
You might recall I met my wife on a dating app, but
hold on, was that today, the one you swipe left and you swipe right?
Swipe left, swipe right. Yes.
Tinder.
But now, apparently, people today, they don't want to use the dating apps. They will actually want to see each other face to face and meet in person. So there's a rise of all sorts of speed dating events and things like that to get people to meet. And that's happening now. And we have some sound from Temmie's package yesterday.
Let's listen to it.
Interest they have in dating apps. The younger generation is the less interest they have in dating apps. Yeah. And again, if you think about it, dating apps were a new trend like 15, 20 years ago, but now they're the norm. And so for younger generations, dating apps are not new, they're old.
So I met the real old-fashioned way. High school prom that you met on Tinder, which is going to be the new old-fashioned way, right? That's swipe left, swipe right.
Yep.
But that's based on a picture, isn't it?
Pictures and a little
immediate attraction. Right.
That's all you get.
Well, you got lucky on that.
Worked out for me.
It's not enough. People want to. It's like do you want to order off the internet or you want to try on the shoes in a store? Is that what it comes down to? Just to make it simple.
Essentially, yes.
We want to see each other. Are we running part 2 of this tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can see part 1 right here on the NBC 10 WJR YouTube channel.
All right. So we're covering the governor signing the gun bill. We have part 2 of the dating piece. We're certainly going to cover a bit of the Hegseth news conference. What else are we going to have? What else?
We have Wayne checking in before we get to what's on the rest of the agenda today. Wayne checks in and says, "Thanks, Gene. I'm glad it's not hot outside today. Maybe I'll go to New York Systems for some wieners."
Which one are you going to go to? Wienerama? I was there for the grand opening. Tastes just the same, by the way. So Chris Taskin Company, they handled the transition great. And Ernie, who was one of the partners that sold it to him, they made sure the recipe is just as it is. So no change at Wienerama, other than they freshened up the place, which is great. If you go,
and there's a new house record, right?
Yeah, there's 48. The guy ate 48 wieners in 30 minutes. And he's a professional eater. He was from Massachusetts. I think his name was Jeff. Set the new house record, 48 in 30 minutes at Wienerama in Cranston. Unless you're going up to Olneyville, one of the originals still in Olneyville. That's been sold. The guy from Newport with all the money, who's buying up all the restaurants, bought that. And he petitioned for a liquor license. And I had the mayor on this week. I had Mayor Smiley in just yesterday. And the mayor, he said, you don't need a liquor license for wieners. People go there after you drank too much. So he's okay with that. I know Councilman Vargas was vehemently against giving the new owners of the Olneyville Wiener joint a liquor license. But that's still good. I don't expect much change there. And that's your wiener news, Dan. You know,
always on top of it, Gene.
Well, listen, no story too big, no story too small.
That's right.
I have to get up to Mr. Lemon because what was the last news? Are they kind of toning it down over there, winding it down a little bit at Mr. Lemon? I think that was the last thing they're going to.
I remember they were cutting hours a bit, right?
Pare back on the hours. They're nice people. It's a whole family, bunch of brothers and sisters run it. And they've got some of the best frozen lemonade around. Nothing to take against Dell's. Dell's is a much bigger operation. Mr. Lemon is one little guy, one little Mr. Lemon on the corner of Hawkins Street in Providence. But I have to get up there because that's kind of a summer tradition. I want to get up to Atwell's Avenue, maybe for lunch today. That's on my plan. And how long you want to keep going with this? What's the usual coffee milk time?
We're right on time. I got a couple more stories for you if you want to
keep going.
Run through them. So later this afternoon, Mayor Smiley, Governor McKee, DOT Director Peter Alviti, they're cutting the ribbon at America's Cruise Dock. They're getting ready to welcome cruise ships to Providence.
Okay. Where's the dock going to be? Is this on Allen's Ave? Where they used to pull in?
This is over by India Street.
Oh, it's India Street. All right.
Yeah. That's
a better location. I mean, look, the waterfront's industrial. It's not very inviting to look at from a cruise ship. But
now we know that cruise ships have come to Newport, and that's a nice place to get off, and there's things to see and do. So if you're first time, Gene, if somebody's watching this and they've never been to Providence before, and they happen to be on one of these cruises that are stopping in Providence, first place they should go. What do you recommend?
First place they should go. Well, they ought to go up and see the State House. There's a lot of stuff inside the State House that's of interest to out-of-staters, including an art copy of the Declaration of Independence and other things, the cannon. They ought to do that. Then they ought to go over to Brown, see the Brown gates, maybe take a little stroll on the streets around Brown. And then, I'd go to the RISD Museum. I'd go up on Atwell's Avenue, grab lunch. So you could fill a day. You could absolutely fill a day. But I mean, these are smaller cruise boats that are coming in. These are more the American River cruises that are coming in. This is not the Queen Mary's not pulling into Providence. And listen, I'll be honest, that waterfront is not very appealing to look at, even from the water. I mean, you're looking at the scrap pile. You're looking at windmills for the sewage plant. You're looking at other stuff like that. I mean, let's be honest. It's not much to look at, but if you spend the time and get off the boat and go in, I'm assuming these tour operators have put something together. So the governor's going to cut the ribbon on that. Okay. What else is going on today?
Final story. The Cape is getting ready for the beach season, and you're looking at some video of the problems they've had out on the beaches. And on Tuesday, you were saying to Allison how you're not really much of a beach person, but you've certainly covered your fair share of stories about problems they've had. In anticipation of the 4th of July weekend, they're cracking down zero tolerance policy for anybody with an open container this summer, and especially around the 4th of July at beaches out on Cape Cod.
I mean, look at that mess. In Rhode Island, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we have a policy that there are no garbage cans on the beaches? In other words, you're responsible for bringing a bag and cleaning up after yourself And
carry in, carry out.
You got to carry the trash to a garbage can. I didn't even know where the garbage can is, but in other words, there's no waste baskets or anything on the beaches in Rhode Island. You're responsible for cleaning it up. I haven't seen a mess like that on any Rhode Island beaches. That's really disgraceful. That was Cape Cod?
That was Cape Cod, yes.
Yeah.
So they're cracking down in several communities. Falmouth, right over the bridge there, as well as Dennis, out by where I am right now, and Chatham. Those are the three communities that they're targeting. Zero tolerance policy for alcohol as we get ready to head into the 4th of July week.
Well, I don't blame them out in Chatham. That's a high rent district out there. That Chatham Bars Inn is beautiful. And those are beautiful homes, and they keep it nice out there. So that's good that they're going to crack down and keep it nice, because I'm going on the beach to see the sand and the seagulls, not your cigarette butts and your red Solo cups. So, all right, listen, this is Coffee Break on the WJAR NBC 10 YouTube channel. Just a break to meet with our viewers and tell you what's coming up for the rest of the day. And that's about it. So I'm Gene Valicenti. I'll see you on NBC 10 News at 6 and on the radio every morning on WPRO. Have a good rest of your day.